MXR Joshua Ambient Echo, which is an accurate name, especially if you know the references. Joshua, as in U2's Joshua Tree album, really featured the Edge's rhythmic delay sounds and the giant ambient soundscapes from producers Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno. Now, these are the kind of sounds that the MXR Joshua excels at. What the name doesn't tell you is how versatile this pedal is. And not the usual menu diving, option paralysis kind of versatility. This pedal can go from simple and straightforward to multiple layers with deep control, and it's all pretty easy to access. The best part is that you can set it up to be the delay pedal that works for you. To be this small and have this many options, this is an extremely user-friendly delay pedal. Most importantly, it sounds really good. So I'll start with the top panel controls, and then I'll show you how to dig a little bit deeper. So on the face of this thing, you can see there's a delay control, regeneration control, and mix control. Now that's what you sort of expect to see on a delay pedal. Mix is obviously the wet-dry blend, delay is the delay time, and regeneration is the amount of repeats. And beyond those basics, right on the face of this, you get a few extra goodies like the subdivision mode. You can see there are 5 different rhythmic subdivisions available. And if you look at the blue light labeled Echo 2, that's pulsing at the quarter note. So all of those are a division of the quarter note. You've also got a modulation control that controls the rate and the depth of the modulation that's on the delay repeats. You've also got a control labeled voice. That's like a harmonizer. It adds a 1 octave down pitch, an octave up, and a 2 octave up pitch. The button labeled trails affects the bypass mode. So with the trails button on, when you bypass the delay, the decay will decay naturally. And with the trails button off, it'll stop the delay immediately. The foot switch can be either bypass or tap tempo. If you just press it, it's bypass. If you press and hold, it's tap tempo. The Joshua sounds great in either mono or stereo. I've got it set up in stereo, and the nice thing about the stereo setup is you can do it one of 2 ways. You can have it either one side wet, one side dry, or ping pong, one delay on one side, one delay on the other. So there's a couple different ways to configure the stereo out. Now how I have it right here is I'm coming out TRS out of the main output jack, and I'm splitting left and right. Now one of the other options is you can use this CTR jack, the control jack, that I've currently got set up for freeze and for tap tempo, but you can use that as an audio out. So that's like one side and the other side, both TS. Here's a couple cabling options for the TRS out. Now the way I've got it set up here is I'm using the EBS patch cable, and that's great if it's just staying on your board or it's going into another stereo pedal. But if it's the last thing in your signal chain, you might need some other options. So I've got this 2X mod box from Temple Audio. It's designed to go in the Temple Audio boards and their little cutouts on the bottom of the board, but it's flat on the bottom and flat on the top, so you can Velcro it anywhere you want to, on the front of your board, on the back of your board, underneath, however. It's a very great, very cool, versatile box. So for the most cost-effective option, here you go. You've got a splitter. This is a TRS into 2 female TS, and you can just run these straight to your amps or whatever your interface, however you're doing it. I wouldn't recommend this if you're moving it around a lot, but if it's staying still for the most part, man, this is great. And another option, especially if it's just going to be sitting still, is a cable like this. It's another splitter. You've got a TRS here to 2 TS on the ends, and it's 10 foot. And if you're curious about checking out all of these products, there's links in the description. The last thing on the face of the pedal is the control out. As I mentioned, it's got a lot of functions. It could be an audio out, or you can use it like I've got it set right here for a tap tempo and freeze setting. Now what freeze does is when you press down on the pedal, it holds the last bit of audio until you let go of it. You can also connect a TRS cable to the CTR Jack and use an expression pedal like this Dunlop Mini expression pedal. And what you can do is you can set a heel down setting and a toe down setting. There can be 2 completely different settings, and it morphs between the 2 settings. And if you still haven't found what you're looking for, who writes this crap? Anyway, there's a second and third layer of control available. The Joshua comes out of the box sounding great, but with the second and third layer of control, you can totally customize the way this pedal sounds and performs. Now, each knob has 2 more control functions. You can access them by pressing and holding either the Echo 2 or the Trails button. These controls kind of fall into the set it and forget it category, but they're easy to get to. Now, for reference, I have page 5 out of the very helpful owner's manual here. It's a table of the second and third functions for each control. Let's take a quick look at the second and third layer features here. Remember, you just hold either the Echo 2 button or the Trails button. Now, if you do that and turn the delay knob, that changes the look of the LEDs and how they operate. All right, so let me check my notes for this. Now, for the mod control, if you press and hold the Trails button, you get modulation, rate, and depth separated out, so you can control both of those independently. If you press and hold the Echo 2 button, you get something called symmetrical regeneration. Now, what that means is that depending on how you've got the two delays set, they sort of trail off at the same time, or not, or you can have them be independent. The voice knob controls either the high cut filter for the delay sounds or stereo mono mode. Here's how you access stereo mono mode. So right now we're in stereo. Press and hold, turn back. We should be in mono mode now. The regeneration control controls either Echo 2's independent regeneration, like if you don't want them to be symmetrical, if you want Echo 2 shorter or longer. And the other thing it controls is the reverb decay. Wait a minute, reverb decay? There's reverb in this thing? Yes, there is. Check it out. So I've got the reverb on, but it's set pretty mild. You can sort of hear it. Right, the delay is considerably louder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Trails button and turn up the, looks like, regeneration for the reverb decay and the mix for the reverb mix. Now let's see what we got. So the other function for the mix control when you hold down the Echo 2 button is that it can control the output of Echo 2 independently. And finally, the division knob can control either the compression threshold that's on the delay. So that's kind of cool. It's subtle, but it adds a thing to it. I've got it actually set without any compression on it. Or it can also control the, the Echo 2 rhythmic subdivision. So you can have Echo 2 either be quarter notes or any of these subdivisions at all. So here's how I have it set and how I've been using it. It's in stereo mode with symmetrical regeneration, no high-end cut, no compression, medium reverb length and level, and equal balance between Echo 1 and 2. I also have Echo 2 subdivision set to quarter note. So that makes it really easy to change the relationship between the two delays in terms of the rhythmic subdivision, right? Because when you reach down and grab the division knob, you're changing Echo 1 by default, so Echo 2 stays the same. Echo 1 is the one you're changing. The other thing that does is makes this pedal really easy to transition from this style with both delays going in stereo to a single delay in mono, because all you got to do is turn off the Echo 2 button, and then there you have the single delay that's controlling the division. If you found that you've gotten in a bit too far with this pedal's mysterious ways, really, seriously. Oh, geez. Okay. And you just want to start over. You can restore the factory default settings by pressing and holding the Echo 2 and Trails buttons simultaneously for 5 seconds. Thanks for checking out the MXR Joshua Ambient Echo pedal with me. If you have any U2 related puns, please make sure to leave them in the comments, and it might just push this video over the edge. Or maybe you can take this script to Where the Streets Have No Name and toss it in the unforgettable fire. And while you're there, make sure to like this video and please subscribe to our channel. And if you have any questions about this pedal or any other MXR pedal, make sure to go to sweetwater.com or call your Sweetwater sales engineer. Thanks.